I had to get some sharpened pencils. So another way to actually get this into your software without actually having to digitize it, because sometimes you don't have access to a digitizer, there are other ways. So I'm going to show you what I do on the paper to get my map, basically. So at each of these corners, I'm actually just going to start here at the center front. I'm going to do kind of making sure that this is staying perfectly straight. I'm going to do a guideline right there. And then off of each of these lines, I'm going to try and find a point kind of coming right up to this corner. And then what I have to do is I actually have to go back and measure this line. So we have 1 and 5/16. So we have 1 and 5/16 from there. And then going up to get our shoulder point right here, it's going to be 1 inch. We got a half, we got a 5/8, and we have 1 past 5/8, so 5/8 is 10/16, 11/16. So 1 and 11/16 up for this point. And so this is kind of what I'll do for each point down. So down for here, I'm going to measure, this is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 5/16. Oh, so this one must have been, that wasn't 5/16. It's just too early in the morning for me to do. So this is actually 3/16. So this is 7 and 5/16 down to this point. From this point over, we're going to see if this is a 90 degree. It's pretty much a 90 degree. And I'm going to take this over, so sometimes these rulers drive me nuts. And basically I go through and I draw my grid connecting each point together. So from this point, and I'll explain why I'm doing this. So I can take this one all the way across and then get a perpendicular line there. And then so for this whole piece, we have 3. So this is 3.5 plus a 16th is 9/16 across there, and then going up we have 3/4, and that's to that point. So you can keep going through, and I'll do this as much as I can if I on the screen. And I'll show you how to actually put this into software. I'm guessing most softwares kind of have the same functionalities of it. So then this now from this point would be down to 1/8. And then to get to this point, it is 4 7/8. Now we can also do kind of a midpoint right here. So kind of maybe I find the part that hits, I'm not off the screen, am I? So I'm going to keep perpendicular, and basically right where this point hits here, that is going to be 3 and 3/16. No, I'm sorry, not 3. Yes, 3 and 3/16. And then up to this point is going to then be 1 and 3/8. So that gets to that point. And so what I'm doing is I'm basically mapping this whole thing out. And there's other ways to do this too, but this is the way I find it easiest. I love math. I know, probably ask my high school self and I'd say absolutely no, I hated math. That's because I wasn't doing what I enjoy doing. So I am enjoying doing this now. So we have 5.5. So out to this point. Okay, and then we have down here, we didn't measure that one out. That one was 1.5 inches. And then if we were to take this line across, that basically is coming down 1/8 of an inch, and it's going across to and 5/8. So then that gets me to this point. Yeah, so we got this point, and now this one over here, we can actually bring it down from this line. So from this line, we can take it, this is going to be 3.5 to there, and 1/2 inch down from there. The only last point I need is my center of my dart. So I'm going to go through here and do another perpendicular line. And this is at 1 3/4. And from this point down, it is 1 1/4. Okay, so this is how I basically map it out on paper, and then I'm going to go into the software and show you actually how to put all these points in. And this is what I just showed you. We went out and mapped this, and the backlight might be a little bit hard. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting with a guideline. So these are all going to be guidelines I'm working on. I'm just going to start somewhere over here, and I'm going to do over here. And I'm on a laptop, so actually sometimes it's not that great. Okay, so this is basically this point right here. What I want to do is I want to duplicate this guideline over here to this point, actually this one can, so this point and this point. So I want to duplicate that guideline. So I want to go to Modify, Duplicate Guide, and I will probably mix this up. I believe positive numbers go here on the left side, and negatives go to the right. Oh, and look, I have centimeters. So I need to change that. So before we go in here, so I need to go to Preferences, General. This is the first time using this one on this computer. And I also need to change my rulers. So I'm going to go here to View, Rulers, and switch this from centimeters to inches. So you can change, everything changes. So that way it's a little bit easier for me to follow. So from this point, I'm going to duplicate guide, and see, now it's in inches. So we had to change it in 2 places, once with the preferences of the computer, or for the software, and also with our rulers. Okay, now I need to go in and duplicate the guide. So I'm going to duplicate the guide, and because it's going to the left side of the guideline, we actually have to make these all negative numbers. If it's going to the right side of the guideline, it has to be positive numbers. So since we're taking this line and we're duplicating it for each of these points here, we can actually do all of the guidelines going across. So I'm going to start at the top, so I know that this is, so -1 3/16. And you have to make sure you hit the add button, otherwise it doesn't add it. -3 9/16. Okay, now to the next line, which is -4 7/8. And I didn't do this one. This one, oh, actually, no, I did. Okay. -3 3/16. This one is going to be -5 1/2. This one here is -3 1/2. And if for some reason any of these numbers are identical, you only need to put them in once. And we have, none of mine are, so I just thought I'd bring that up. And oops, to -2 5/8. Okay, I'm going to hit OK, and this is this. So obviously we are pretty far out, so I'm going to zoom in. There we go. And I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So this should make a little bit more sense. So what we're going to be doing is I'm basically doing all my guidelines first. So now we have this point. So on this guideline, Okay, now I'm going to be working on duplicating this guideline. So I'm going to go to Modify, Duplicate, Guide. Now going above is actually going to be negative and going down is going to be positive. So I'm starting right here. So I'm going to go, so negative 1/3/16. And then add, actually I've got a touch screen. Of course that didn't work. Come on. Then we have -3/4. Let's see if I can get it to go. There we go. I always forget this is a new computer. Okay, so now we're going to go below the line. So we have 2 1/8. We have this one I can't add yet because this one I actually measured from this line. So I'll have to go back and do this section later. So then I actually went back and I added this one since the other little video you saw. So this one is now 6 7/16 and 7 and no kitty you can't climb on the keyboard. Sorry, 7 5/16. And I think that's all these guidelines except for this one right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit, oh wait, no, I missed the bottom one. Oh, because I didn't hit add. Okay. Okay. Now here we go. Now I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we have all this kind of in front and forward. And we're going to draw this very roughly. Now I have to kind of remember what's what. So this line right here, so I can select that one. That one is actually the starting point. So now we're going to be connecting and making our basic shape, and we're going to do the open polygon. So hold down the polygon, you get the open, and we're going to do the intersection point. So click this, so that way it's going to start in each one. So this is our starting point right here. And the first point, so kind of looking at where things are falling here. So you kind of have to follow your grid. This one's going to be that first one right there. And then coming back over here to see where your measurements are, and coming back here, it's now not the furthest one to, it's going to be the third point in from this side. So we got third point there. Then we are, and we didn't do this one either yet. So, right, 3, oh we did, no, we didn't do a middle part. So we don't have this marking, so I can't do that one. And then I'm going to come over to this one, which is that next part down. This is going to turn into something, you will see. And then we're going to come down to the next shape here. And we missed something in here. And this one probably be in the middle, which we don't have this spot. So the 2 5/8. Looks like it's probably right about there. Right here, and then we come up here. So now we've got our basic shape, and so we will then go and modify this. Okay, so this is a little silly looking. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to select this first line because we're going to try and create our next shape. I'm going to go to Modify and Smooth. So I've just smoothed it, then I want to double click on that line. And then you see it's smaller markings. And so we can take that and you can curve that. So we create our basic shape over here. This one over here, we're also going to take this line, going to take and smooth, and then I'm going to come back here and double click on the line. Kind of makes it so it doesn't look like it's attached, and then you've got a small plus sign and that's right, because that goes to this line. There we go. Okay. Now down here we are missing a point for the dart. So this right here is going to actually be, and I must have missed this little spot right here. So what we want to do is, this is 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch. Oh, this one down over here was 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to duplicate this one. Really? Did I just do that? Duplicate guide. Did I forget to hit the add button and then hit OK? There you go. So then this point actually moves down to that point. We have a straight line here, so what we can do, and I turned off the light so it wouldn't have as much reflection. Since this is a straight line from here to there, I'm going to take and look at my ruler, and it looks like that's about 3 inches. And at about 2 1/8, that's where we need a point. So what I'm going to do is I want to add one of these. So I'm going to add a vertex, and okay, so vertex, and then I'm going to count, do a number. So distance from this point, and I said 2 1/8, right? So I did 2 and 1, oops, 2 space 1 1/8, and then hit enter, and then I want it that 2 1/8 from this end. So I'm just going to click on that line. There we go. So now this point we are going to move up, and this is where I would start kind of playing around. We know that both sides of the dart legs need to be the same amount, so we can go through and kind of tweak this in a little bit when we're cleaning it up. This line here, that needs to be a curved shape, so I'm going to go to modify, where am I going to? Yes, modify smooth, and then I'm going to double click the line again, get on the line. It's hard with the finger mouse. Then you come back over here, and then you get that curve for that shape. I don't know if you can see that. Before I can add that interior point, I actually need to extract my pattern. So over here, you see the double X, or double square, and we are going to, let's see if we can skip, oh, we gotta do it each one. There you go. Now we've extracted our pattern, so now we can add, so if you hold this down, you've got your notch and your interior point, and the interior point is right, it should be right. Oops, actually, my duplicated line disappeared. I had to do something. So when we duplicate the guide, we have -1 and 3. Oh, actually, we have 1 and 1/4. Okay, that goes down here, and then this one we actually have to duplicate to 1 3/4, unless I did that already. I don't think I did that one already. So let me go to modify. Come on. Really? Okay, that's the guideline. Duplicate guide, and we're going over, so we're doing -1 and 3. Okay, so that's right here. So we're going to be adding this interior point, and I'm going to do it right there, just going to be right there. So that is my interior point. these two are actually going to become notches, so I'm going to go modify boundary to notch. Ooh, it's a giant notch. I'm going to specify notch. Let's see, edit notch. It's an inch long notch. I don't need an inch long notch. We're going to do 1/4 of an inch. That is ridiculous. Okay, now this one we're also going to modify boundary to notch. Specify notch. 1/4 inch. And that's pretty much our slipper. Now if we want to double check that these 2 points are the same length, we actually just need to say view, what is it, view seam measurements, edge measurements. Okay, so these are the same amount, so which is correct. So now what I would probably do here is, I don't need to view that anymore. View edge, show edge measurements, so we hide that. And what I would do, since this is now looking like this, I would print this out and then basically cut it out and lay it on top of here and then see what actually I need to change. But that's how you take a pattern here that's on paper and put it into here.